So let's talk about some of the ways that pharma projects power. I'm just going to guess a few off the top of my head and tell me if I'm right or wrong, or the ones that you think about. But I mean, in America, since you can advertise on television for a lot of these drugs, they seem to quote unquote own a lot of the networks because they pump so much advertising dollars, it feels like they can have an influence. That's one guess.
Yeah.
Secondly, campaign funding, I'm guessing donations to politicians, whether it's quid pro quo or not, to leave us alone. Agencies, which was kind of an eye-opener during the COVID case of whether it's the FDA or agencies here or the CDC or the NIH or whatever that's called, where they actually end up paying for a lot of the research, the salaries, et cetera. I'm sure I'm forgetting more. Yeah, I don't know, that's where I'm starting, where they have influence. And then I guess medical schools and funding of research, and those are the things that are coming to the top of my head, and I probably don't even know the half. But
yeah, no, I think you've covered most of the main ones there, actually, Brian. So yeah, it's control of decision making, so lobbying politicians, and actually, I think, this is also an important area to discuss because, understandably, there is a lot of division right now around this whole issue about the vaccine, and there is certainly a subset of people who think there is some master plan or conspiracy to kill people, depopulation agenda, all this kind of stuff. I'm very Socratic in my thinking as well, right? When Socrates said true wisdom only comes from dialogue. So as I've had the opportunity in my career with some of the work I've done to have access and have conversations with some of these people, some of these politicians who've been involved in government roles, former secretaries for health, for example, they come to me and ask me for medical advice. They trust me. And most of the time, a lot of their decision making is because of lobbying, a combination of ignorance and the illusion of knowledge, right? So, they genuinely believe what they're doing is based upon all the information they're being given without really understanding that they're being lobbied by people who are presenting information to them as expert opinion, which is ultimately just biased information, which is propagated for the purposes of profiting these multinational corporations.
Okay.
So I think but you're right. So political environment, right? And we can see a great example of that. I'm glad you raised that point. We'll move on to others because it's quite relevant. When I started campaigning specifically on the COVID vaccine issue, was when they started to when Sajid Javid, our Secretary for Health, got up in Parliament towards the end of 2021 and said that we're going to now mandate the vaccine for healthcare workers. And I thought there's something odd. This doesn't make sense, because at the beginning we were told the narrative was this is only going to be offered to people at high risk. In fact, I was on Good Morning Britain because I took 2 doses of the jab and went on Good Morning Britain not to kind of coerce people. I actually said, I understand why people are hesitant. I understand why, the rational concerns here. And it was specifically for ethnic minority groups at the time because they were more hesitant than others. But when they started bringing in the mandates, I thought, no, this doesn't make any sense. And ultimately, I spoke to somebody, and we helped overturn, I was involved in a campaign to overturn the vaccine mandate for healthcare workers. So fine, that was a great victory for this movement. But ultimately, I recently met somebody I won't name, somebody who was in that government, very senior, who said to me explicitly, Aseem, I now realize the only people to benefit from the mandates of mandating the COVID vaccines were Big Pharma. This is a former government minister who was there at the time. So, and this person also said to me, I also now have a greater appreciation now. A lot of the policies that we passed were actually was influenced by commercial interests. So it's interesting that person is now awake. So
what does that tell you? That tells you that they didn't know it at the time, right? So they thought they were acting in the best interest of the politicians, of the people, and what they could do at the time. But now they have now realized that actually disinfects so much of government decision making.
I think they're slowly waking up. Okay. In terms of Sajid Javid as well, I'm sure he genuinely believed he was probably doing something that was the right thing. But I have no doubt that the tentacles, someone behind the scenes linked to Pharma was influencing him, right? And a lot of these politicians, they have this idea that, we have to be friendly to industry. We have to support industry, right? industry are the saviors of the economy. Industry ultimately have the solutions. And we know this is all false, ultimately. I'm sure there are great people within industry with great ideas, but the overall extra power that these industries have is actually causing damage to our democracy and our health now, whether it's big food or big pharma. And just on that point, again, in terms of conversations, several years ago, I'd been involved in this battle with sugar industry and targeting, the obesity epidemic and blaming it on the collusion between government bodies. One particular is Public Health England, which has now changed the name, it's called the National, I can't remember, something agency, I can't remember the name of it now, but it was formerly Public Health England. And the chief nutritionist, the former chief nutritionist of Public Health England met me out of the blue in the street, actually, one day when I was walking in Hampstead. And we had been at loggerheads in the press, right? But was very pleasant to me. Actually, she said to me, Aseem, I'm very sorry about your mother's death, and because I've written about my mother dying. And ultimately, a lot of her problems with her health were influenced by bad food choices, ultra-processed food, addiction, actually. And we sat down, we had a conversation, and I said to her, okay, I understand there are these so-called diet wars going on, and nutritional science is not, we talked about medical science and drug company sponsored studies being unreliable, but there's a lot of question marks over nutritional science as well. But I say, listen, at the very least, why on the healthy eating plate that you are part of, that you have influenced, the National Healthy Eating Guidance called the Eat Well Guide, why have you got junk food on there? Why is it in the corner, as well as this plate in terms of what should represent a healthy diet? You've got sugary drinks, you've got sodas, you've got potato chips, crisps, you've got cakes. And next to it, you said, eat less often and in small amounts. So it's a very vague kind of, but it's on the healthy eating guide. And also separate to that, we know that, a publication by a nutrition researcher, a brilliant nutrition researcher called Zoe Harcombe in the British Journal of Sports Medicine showed that a significant proportion of the people influencing the guide when it was updated were people that worked for McDonald's and Coca-Cola and Pepsi. It's like, what are they doing influencing the healthy eating guidance, right? But when I said this to this person, the response in a very casual way was, Aseem, you've got to understand that one of the biggest contributors to our economy is the food industry. This is from a nutritional scientist supposed to be independent, influencing healthy eating guidelines. So the fact that they said that, for me, again, is another symptom, Brian, of the corporate capture of public health.
That's an odd thing to say. It's almost like when you go into the government, you're indoctrinated by saying, look, we are here to serve the corporations to a certain extent. And not necessarily being said, they're gonna pay our bills, but we're just saying that's why we're here. Okay. Like a doctor is supposed to look out for your health.
So it's what's happened. I think what's happened over time is that a lot of the people also, I think, that get into those positions, Brian, are the people that are going to be friendly to industry, right? Who have kind of just accepted this is the way things are. And again, I also think they have been blinded to understanding and looking at things longer term, not realizing properly that they are, they may think that they can influence things in the right direction and fine, we're going to get a bit of pushback, and ultimately we're still going to maybe make food healthier by slowly over years reducing the sugar content or reducing the salt or whatever else. But this is all ultimately just, doesn't have any significant impact on population health. I think they see their roles as being like that, rather than saying, hold on a minute, actually, let's try and just tell people to completely eliminate ultra-processed food from their diet, right? And treat these sorts of foods like we did tobacco. I think that's where we're going with this ultimately. Those are the solutions. We need some real sort of clear-cut, strong people to stand up and say, enough is enough. We can't be your puppets any longer.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. The greedy bankers are about to do it again. In 2008, they crashed our financial system and nearly bankrupted the entire global economy. Then they received trillions of dollars in government bailouts. And after, they demanded fat bonuses paid for by you, the taxpayer.
It turns out the banks haven't just been screwing the American taxpayers, they're also screwing over their investors. Turns out the banking industry is the worst place you could put your money, despite enormous taxpayer bailouts.
Now the bankers are back to take away your financial freedom. They lie and tell you that cryptocurrency isn't safe. They try to make it illegal for you to choose how to invest your hard-earned money. They lie and say cryptocurrency is used by money launderers and criminals. But look at the record. It's the banks themselves that launder hundreds of billions of dollars every year to the biggest criminal operations in the world.
Leaked documents have revealed how some UK banks have helped criminals, money launderers and Russians under sanctions.
American authorities discovered that the Sinaloa cartel moved $881 million through HSBC accounts as bank officials turned a blind eye to the illegality.
The bankers lie and say cryptocurrency is not a real investment. Meanwhile, the smartest CEOs in the world are buying billions and billions of it. The truth is that banks lie about cryptocurrency because it makes them scared. The banks take $9 trillion per year of your hard-earned money, and they are worried that they will finally be exposed. They're scared because crypto means they can no longer control your money, which means they can no longer control you. They are scared because you might actually understand your money and intelligently decide what to do with it. Now is the time for us to come together, fight back, and take control. It's time to educate ourselves, our families, and our communities. Because financial education means financial freedom. We know that cryptocurrencies will help us build the new decentralized financial system of the future. A banking system that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. A banking system where access to finance is a fundamental human right. A banking system that is free and fair and welcomes all humans on this earth. The DeFi revolution is happening. We, the people, can no longer be fooled. We choose to take control of our finances. We choose to take control of our freedom. We choose to take control of our future. Join us, and let's take back our financial freedom forever.